The Smells were a fairly typical family living in West Pittston, Pennsylvania in the 1980s. The family of 6 included parents Janet and Jack Smell and their 4 daughters, Dawn, Heather, and twins Shannon and Karen. The Smells were a well-respected Catholic family. Jack and Janet both grew up locally, meeting in 1967 and marrying a year later. Jack served in the Navy and went on to become a neuropsychiatric technician. The family's 13-year saga began with a completely natural occurrence. When Hurricane Agnes flooded the house in 1972, the young Smells, with their first 2 daughters, moved in with Jack's parents on 330 Chase Street. Their duplex home would soon plunge them into a sinister and terrifying new reality. The house was originally built in 1896 and was located on a sedate street in a quiet middle-class neighbourhood. Jack's parents had purchased the place in 1973. They lived in the right half, while their son's family occupied the left side of the house. The Smells invested a lot of effort into their half of the property and spent what money they could repairing and redecorating, with the intention of turning the new house into a comfortable home. The eerie activity began innocently enough in January 1974. Tools went missing, then reappeared. A mysterious discoloration spread on one of the new carpets, and old wall stains oozed through fresh coats of paint. Then the phenomena became more dramatic. A television set incinerated. Resoldered pipes continued to leak, and the new sink and bathtub suddenly had unexplained scratches. Kitchen appliances burst into flames, even when unplugged, and horrible odours swamped the house, only to disperse in a flash. In 1975, the older daughter, Dawn, began telling her parents she was seeing people hovering in her bedroom. Regardless, the Smell family soldiered on. Jack achieved a job promotion and took on coaching his daughter's softball team. Janet gave birth to twin girls and helped organise an anti-drink driving group at the nearby high school. The older girls were excelling in their studies, and the in-laws were happy until in 1977, the unnerving phenomena inside the home started to intensify. Until then, the intermittent occurrences were easily dismissed, but the inexplicable phenomena started to include disembodied footsteps, unplugged radio suddenly blaring music, random cold spots, and drawers opening and slamming as if in anger, as well as a permeating stench of rot around the home. Jack reported feeling an unseen hand caress him and a persistent sense of being watched. By 1985, the activity had escalated to an all-time high. The addition of the twins Shannon and Karen to the household only seemed to increase the activity. Janet and Jack's mother Mary claimed to have heard voices that sounded like one of the family members. Janet was convinced she heard her mother-in-law calling her name, while Mary reported hearing Janet and Jack in a non-existent, full-blown argument laden with heavy swearing. Terrifying black masses formed and floated around the home. After that night, the occurrences became more ominous and disturbingly violent in the Smell house. A light fixture dropped from the ceiling, cutting one of the children on impact. Scratches started appearing on family members. The walls would rattle, the parents' mattress would be shaken, and the family dog was repeatedly thrown against the wall. One night while sleeping, Shannon was dragged out of bed and tossed down the stairs. Janet also reported being picked up by an invisible presence, struggling some 6 feet in the air and then hurled across the room. Jack claimed a succubus invaded the living room and violated him during a televised baseball game. Jack's parents on the other side of the party wall often heard insults, screams, and other loud noises coming from the Smell side of the duplex, but nothing ever manifested in their own home. Even neighbours claimed to hear shrieking from the house while the family was out. In January 1986, after years of the strange annoyances and then downright terror, the Smells contacted the controversial ghost-busting couple Rain and Ed Warren. Travelling from Connecticut to Pennsylvania, the pair brought with them Rosemary Frew, a nurse and psychic. In their initial assessment, the Warrens concluded that there were 4 different entities within the home. 3 were reasonably harmless and probably responsible for the more minor haunting phenomena. They were an elderly woman, a young but aggressive girl, and a man who had suffered and passed away in the house. However, the fourth spirit was both very powerful and angry, and was using the other three spirits to destroy the Smurl family. Ed Warren was quoted by the Times leader as saying, "The Smurls are definitely a family coming under a visual attack. Whether a ghost, devil, demon, the presence is in that home." The Warrens theorised that the demon may have been dormant for decades, then was activated, drawing from the emotional energy of the growing girls. The Warrens' investigation lasted 6 months. To counter the most powerful entity, the so-called demon, they conducted prayer sessions and played religious music, but the force reportedly shook mirrors and furniture, and even wrote a message on a mirror telling them to get out. Ed Warren decided to enlist a Vatican-mandated exorcist named Father McKenna. However, his attempted exorcism backfired and seemed to make the demon even more virulent. At this stage, several members of the family reported being physically violated or otherwise caused illness by the entities. According to one commentator, both Janet and her older daughter Dawn said they had been intimately assaulted by the shadows they witnessed. One of the twins, Karen, has suddenly fallen ill and nearly succumbed to a mystery infection. Allegedly, both Janet and her mother-in-law had marks from beatings and bites all over their bodies. Soon into the investigation, the Smurl family found themselves the subject of a media circus. Strangers camped out in front of their house while cameras flashed and reporters crowded their lawn. A fleet of onlookers, cars cruised past hoping to spot a glimpse of something supernatural. Officials from the Roman Catholic Church in Scranton were at a loss as to what might be causing the phenomena. A bevy of priests visited the Smurls to bless their home and reportedly encountered no harmful activity while in the house. In 1986, a local priest even moved into the property hoping to witness firsthand the demonic stirrings. But peace reigned, and after 2 nights without a problem, he left. Father McKenna conducted another exorcism some months later, which again failed. A third attempt at exorcism involving several priests and a group of local parishioners from a local church, this time not sanctioned by the Vatican, appeared to work. No phenomena were experienced for several months. However, activity started creeping in again, at which stage the exhausted family finally decided to leave the property. In 1987, the Smurls, equally demoralised by the incessant media scrutiny, packed up and moved house. Bizarrely, the supernatural phenomena were reported to have followed them to their new abode, until a church-approved exorcism in 1989 cleansed the house of all activity. Since then, paranormal experts, priests, television producers and journalists have all closely examined the Smurls' story. Rumours had already begun to circulate about the family's supernatural claims, as they had recently fallen on hard times. Rumours of the ghostly phenomena being fake were further bolstered when Ed Warren contacted paranormal journalist Robert Curran and invited collaboration on a book about the Smurls and their haunting. The subsequent owners of the Chase Street duplex, who moved into the house in 1988, have never reported any supernatural activity there and say that nothing unusual has ever occurred in their home. Likewise, the Smurls never reported any lingering activity in their new home. Curran's book, called The Haunted, was published in 1988, and a telemovie by the same name came out in 1991. Whether a convinced spiritualist or skeptic, no one can deny the strangeness of the Smurls' tale.